Chainsaw Man episode number 1. So this is a anime series that has been really hyped up, and I guess the question is, does it live up to the hype? So Chainsaw Man is a manga series by Tatsuki Fujimoto. It's a fantastic series. I actually didn't get into it until pretty late after its release. I got into it earlier this year. So earlier this year was when I started reading Chainsaw Man after part 1 was already finished. And after reading the first chapter, I instantly fell in love with it. And I actually binged all of part 1 within like 2 to 3 days. And pretty much I just read every single chapter over the weekend. And for anyone who doesn't know, part 1 has 97 chapters. So yeah, I binged 97 chapters in about 2 to 3 days. That's how much I just instantly, the manga just grabbed my attention. So when I found out that there's going to be an anime, I was super hyped up. Going by social media, it seems like a lot of people are hyped up for it. So yeah, does it live up to the hype? Well, let's see. So the anime is by Mappa. It has a 3D art style to it. They use CGI, but they also are very well with the cell shading, so it does still have the anime aesthetic. And that's one of the things about CGI anime is that it can be pretty iffy. I mean, just look at the Berserk adaptation. But I think this one actually did a pretty good job. I will say I'm hoping that not all anime, start going with the CGI cell shaded look, because there's just something about 100% hand drawn that it's just fantastic. And I don't want to see Japan go the way of Disney and just switch over to nothing but CGI. I will say Mappa does a good job with the CGI here in the cell shading. So we have Denji, and Denji lives with this tiny demon named Pochita, and that name actually surprised me. I always pronounced it as Pochita because it's spelled that way, but in the anime, Denji calls him Pochita, so I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. And Pochita is this little tiny demon it's a little tiny devil that looks a bit like a dog, but has like a chainsaw nose. And yeah, Pochita is going to play a huge part in this series, obviously. But in this world, there are devils, and devils are basically man-made fears personified. So, for example, there's going to be a war devil, and the war devil is man's fear of war. There's a chainsaw devil, which is man's fear of chainsaws. There's a gun devil, which is man's fears of guns. So there's a little bit of a spoiler for the devils. No, I'll hold on to that spoiler until later on when the anime brings it up. Then I'll mention it, but I don't want to do that yet. So yeah, there's devils in this world. And Denji has one of them as his partner. And Denji basically has a not so great life. So we start off the series with him walking down in an alleyway, and then he comes across this door. And just as he's about to open up the door, he wakes up, and it's kind of like a nightmare that he just had. And this moment is going to play really huge later on in the series, but I won't spoil that right now. So Denji's father committed suicide. He hanged himself, and Denji's father owes the yakuza a lot of money. And so now that debt has gone on to Denji. So now it's Denji who has to pay off the debt. And so he works for the yakuza. Basically, he cuts down trees and he fights devils, and they pay him. But they pay him very poorly, to the point where Denji's also had to sell parts of his body to try to get some money to pay off some of the debt. So he sold one of his kidneys, he sold his right eye, he sold one of his testicles. And yeah, he's trying to pay off the yakuza. And the yakuza, like I say, they jip him off. So for example, he kills a devil early on. He kills a tomato devil. I don't know why there's a tomato devil. I don't know why people fear tomatoes, but I guess they do. So he kills a tomato devil, and the yakuza boss says, I'm going to pay you 400,000 yen. But there's finder's fees, there's manager's fees, there's interest. And so he only gives Denji 70,000 yen out of that 400,000. And then out of the 70,000, Denji has to pay bills and stuff. And so he only ends up with 1,800 yen. And so he has 1,800 yen to pay for food for both him and Pochita to last for a month or so. Or at least until he gets paid again, which varies. Like we see a scene earlier where one of the yakuza pulls up in the vehicle, and they tell Denji, I'll give you 100 yen if you eat my cigarette. And Denji does so. So he's like, yes, 100 yen. We have food for the next 3 days. Basically, food for Denji is just bread. No condiments, no nothing. It's just bread, and he shares it with Pochita. And they live in this tiny little shack. And Denji has this dream. Denji's dream is that he wants to be romantically, sexually involved with a woman. So yeah, just like any other teenager, he he dreams of having sex. But yeah, he also dreams of like having a girlfriend. But he's like, there's no way I'm ever gonna be able to have that dream because I mean, I can never bring a girl back to a place like this. I can't even afford to go out on dates. But he's like, just one of these days, I want to score with the girl before I die. And we see a flashback of Denji over his father's grave, and the yakuza basically saying that you owe us 700,000 yen. You have to pay us up by tomorrow, or we're gonna cut you to pieces. And as they drive off, Denji sees Pochita, and he says, if you want to kill me, go ahead and kill me. And then it turns out that Pochita is injured. And Denji is like, oh, looks like you're dying too. I want you to come and bite me. Because I heard that if a devil drinks human blood, it can heal them. So Pochita comes and bites Denji and starts healing himself. And then Denji says, but this isn't for free. This is a deal we're making. I'm going to help you, and in return, you're going to help me. You're going to help me pay off these debts. And so Denji kills a devil using Pochita, and he tells the yakuza, I want you to hire me as a devil hunter. I will fight devils and cut down trees and whatever task you want me to do, and you will take the money from there, and in return, I get to stay alive as long as if I'm working for you, paying off the debt. And so that's the deal. And then eventually we cut to the present day where Denji's in the shack, and he's sharing his dream with Pochita about how his dream is he wants to, one of these days, he wants to pay off the debt. He wants to have a good life with Pochita. He wants to be able to eat bread with butter and jelly. He's like, I heard that, some people put jam on their bread. One of these days, I'm going to make it so that I can get jam on my bread, and I want to share it with you. And then I want a girl who I can play video games with and who I can hold in my arms. Then he starts throwing up blood. And he mentions that his mom died from a similar disease. It's a heart disease that, one of the symptoms is you cough up blood. So pretty much it's foreshadowing that Denji doesn't really have long to live. Like, even if he pays off the debt, he's going to die soon anyways, because he has this disease that he can't pay for any treatment for. But the yakuza tell him that they have a devil that they want him to kill. So they bring him into this warehouse where it turns out to be a setup. The yakuza boss says that we're grateful for you. You're loyal like a dog, and you even work cheap like one. But one thing I can't stand is the stench of a dog. And like all people, we all want more in our life, and we all want more power, more something. And so we made a deal with the zombie devil. And this zombie devil shows up, and it turns out that there's like this huge army of zombie yakuza. The zombie devil says that it doesn't like devil hunters, obviously. And it orders the zombies to kill Denji. So Denji gets stabbed in the back with a sword, along with Pochita. Denji tries to make a run for it, but he's wounded, and eventually the zombies catch up to him, and they stab him to death. And they chop up his body into pieces, and they throw it in a dumpster. And while in there, some of the blood of Denji drips down and into Pochita's mouth. And Pochita is healed, and he awakens. And he recalls spending time with Denji. And he recalls a moment where Denji and him are relaxing on a log, and Denji tells him, I heard that some devils can take over a human body. Well, if that's the case, if I die, I want you, Pochita, to take over my body. I want you to take over my body and you can go live your life. You can go live your life normally, go live a normal life, and go die a normal death, and live out my dreams. You know, I'm not going to be able to accomplish them because I got this depth and I got this heart disease, but you can live out my dreams for me. And Pochita starts merging himself with Denji. And so we see Denji's body parts start meshing together and becoming whole again. And Denji wakes up to see Pochita fusing into Denji's chest. And Pochita basically tells him that one of my favorite things was listening to your dreams, Denji. Like I used to love when you would hold me and tell me your dreams and share them with me. And so I'm going to give you my heart. And in exchange, I want you to show me your dreams. So Pochita basically sacrifices himself for Denji. And Denji is resurrected. He wakes up, he sees Pochita's tail, which is a chainsaw cord, coming out of his chest. And of course, Denji kind of breaks down because his only friend has sacrificed himself to save him. And this is when Chainsaw Man is born. So Denji pulls the cord, turns into Chainsaw Man, and then just goes absolutely nuts on these zombies. And the fight scene is fantastic. I loved it. That was another worry when it came to CGI anime, is that sometimes the fight scenes just aren't as epic as when they're hand-drawn. Because when they're hand-drawn, you can exaggerate things. Whereas if it's CGI, bodies usually, like, they don't really morph them. So it almost just kind of looks like an action figure fighting, if that makes any sense. Basically, handmade animation is always better for fight scenes because the fight scenes can be like more fluid. They can be more exaggerated. You can get more of a feel of like motion and impacts and stuff like that. Whereas with CGI fight scenes, it can be very hit or miss. And yeah, a lot of times it can be very like not stoic. It can be very static looking. Basically, hand-drawn animation is always better for fight scenes than CGI, in my opinion. But the action scene here was actually really good, which is why I say, once again, that MAPPA did a really good job when it came to incorporating CGI into the series, into their animation. So yeah, he's just cutting down these zombies left and right. Eventually, he kills the zombie devil. All that's left are some of the zombies still around. One of them is the yakuza boss, and he starts slicing through them. And I will say that there was one moment here that I didn't care for, and that was the fact that we didn't get to see Denji kill the yakuza boss. I kind of would have liked it. It would have been a little bit cathartic, because throughout this episode, we see that the yakuza boss is taking advantage of Denji. And then, I mean, later on, he sets Denji up to be killed. So it would have been nice to see this Yakuza boss get his comeuppance and just see him get sawed down by Denji. He does, but it happens off screen. So I was like, oh man, I would have liked to actually see Denji cut him down. We don't get to see that. Instead, what we see is we see a car pull up to the factory, and Makima shows up. And oh boy, there's so much I can say about Makima. But I won't, because while there's spoilers for this episode, I'm not going to spoiler the series in general. But Makima shows up with two men. They witness the bloodbath. They witness just all these dead zombie bodies. And they notice Denji still in the Chainsaw Man form. And she approaches Denji. And as she's approaching, she notices that there's a strange smell coming from Denji. That Denji doesn't smell human, nor does he smell like a devil. And as she stands in front of Denji, Denji says, you know, hug me. And then he starts falling backwards. And Makima catches him and hugs him. And Denji starts morphing back into his human form. As this happens, Makima realizes that Denji is a human and he's not possessed by the devil. That somehow he's able to merge with the devil but still retain his humanity. And she basically explains, we came here to kill the zombie devil, but it looks like you've done that already. We're professional devil hunters with the public safety. I can give you two options. I can either kill you right now as a devil, or I can keep you alive as a human. And if I keep you alive, you work for me, and I promise to make sure that you're fed. And Denji asks, well, like, what would be for breakfast? And Makima says, bread with butter and jam, salad and coffee, and maybe dessert. And Denji says, that sounds awesome. And that's how the episode ends. Yeah, there we go. Does it live up to the hype? In my opinion, yes. I loved it. Then again, if all this anime has to do is just stay 100% faithful to the manga. Don't go in any crazy directions. Don't do your own interpretation. Don't pull Hollywood and, modernize it, for a modern audience. None of that garbage. Just do a one-for-one adaptation like you did with this episode, and this will be a fantastic anime series. So I'm assuming that's what they're doing because that's usually what Japan does. Other than, ongoing series where they catch up to the source material and they have to put in a bunch of fillers and stuff like that. Usually, for the most part, Japan tends to stay pretty faithful to the light novels and mangas that they're adapting. So as long as Japan does that, we're in for a hella fun ride and a great, fantastic series. It's going to be 12 episodes. I'm assuming that eventually we're going to get another 12 episodes. I'm assuming it's going to be like, this is season 1. You get 12 episodes of the first 12 chapters. And then you give the studio some time to make the next 12 episodes. And then the next 12 episodes. And if they do that, great. Because that'll also give Fujimoto time to continue making progress on his on the manga series. Because right now the manga is going through part 2. Which started like a couple months ago. Part 2 has been fantastic, by the way. I'm not going to spoil anything there, but I will say it's been fantastic. So yeah, this is great. Like I said, I love it. I love the animation. I was a little bit wary because of the CGI, but Mappa did a great job of their use of CGI here. It's great. The animation is fluid. The fight scenes are awesome. It doesn't stay away from blood or gore, which is another thing sometimes with CGI anime. At least some of the ones that I've seen, you don't really see too much blood squirting out and stuff because it looks weird with the CGI. Yeah, you get a lot of blood, a lot of gore, a lot of cool fight scenes. Sound effects are awesome. Music has been pretty good so far. I will say that I'm a little bit disappointed that the opening song wasn't Devil in My Heart, because I think that would have been perfect. But even the opening for this is pretty good. There's a lot of movie references in the opening. It's weird because the opening has like nothing whatsoever to do with the actual series. It's just basically the Chainsaw Man characters reenacting popular movie scenes, mostly Hollywood movie scenes. Like you get a scene from The Big Lebowski with Denji cleaning up a bowling ball. You get a scene from, oh my God, what the hell was it called? No Country for Old Men, something, whatever that one was called. Basically, it's a bunch of Hollywood scenes. But yeah, I kind of would have liked if they went with Devil in Your Heart. That would have been a good song to do for the opening. I mean, it fits perfectly with the series. But yeah, fantastic. I love this. Definitely worth the wait. And please, Mappa, please just adapt the chapters one for one. And that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do, and it's what you did so far for chapter 1. I'm hoping it's what you do for the next 11 chapters, for your next 11 episodes. And yeah, I'm kind of rambling, but it's fantastic. Hope you enjoyed. You might have noticed that I'm not really going to be using screenshots for this video. I probably should have put that somewhere earlier in the video. But the reason I'm not doing that is because of the fact that at least the manga, I don't know about the anime, but the manga for Chainsaw Man falls under Shueisha, whatever that company's called that kind of runs Manga Plus. I don't know if they have any involvement in the anime, but they have involvement with the manga. The reason I bring them up is because all of my manga videos, all my manga spotlight videos that have received copyright strikes have been because of Shueisha. Shueisha has done it. No other manga publication has copyright struck me, but Shueisha does. And Shueisha are copyright cucks in the fact that they try to put a strike on my channel. I was able to appeal it, thankfully, but they put a strike on my channel because all I showed was a thumbnail of the volume cover. Like not even any interiors. It was just the volume cover, and it wasn't even like a full screen. It was just like a small little thumbnail, and they copyright strike me for that. So because of that, I'm not going to be showing any screenshots of Chainsaw Man. I will only be showing the official promotional artwork throughout the video. I'm sorry for that, but blame Shueisha, whatever the hell their pronunciation is. And they're not even worth pronouncing right. They're just a bunch of cucks. But yeah, blame them. Otherwise, I would show screenshots like I did for Eminence and Shadow. That's why I showed screenshots for Eminence and Shadow. It's because they have nothing to do with Shueisha, whereas Chainsaw Man, at least the manga does. I don't know if the anime does. But because of that, I won't be showing anything. But yeah, there we go. I'm rambling at this point. It's fantastic. I loved it. Perfect score for me. 5 out of 5, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Whatever rating system you want to get, this gets perfect scores for me. I don't really have any complaints about it. I thought it was fantastic. There you go. Hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you next time. Take care, everybody. Later.